The world that we live in is dynamic and is changing rapidly. And one might wonder, what are some of the most essential skills you need to succeed in today's fast-paced world? Stay tuned as we go deeper into this subject. Welcome to the Zista Podcast, where we invite industry professionals and academicians to answer questions that students have within a specific subject. Today, we're going to be focusing on skills that you need to succeed in today's world. And joining us is Dhaval Thanki. Dhaval has over 18 years of experience in the tech, SaaS, analytics, and digital domain. He's worked with large enterprises, startups, and he's currently the Executive Vice President at Loginext, the world's leading logistics automation SaaS platform. Let's go straight into the session. Hi Dhaval, welcome back to the Zista Podcast. We're delighted that you could join us again.
Pleasure being here, Amit.
Today I want to talk to you about something really important. The world that we live in is changing rapidly, and students are probably wondering, what are some of the most essential skills I need to actually succeed?
That's a great question. Something that I am deeply passionate about as well. Like, how do we skill people in the right way, right? Because I think as a species on this planet, over a period of time, we've been acquiring different kinds of skill sets depending on the age that we live in and depending on the dynamics of the environment around us. And then those skills have been instrumental in helping us evolve, right? And knowingly or unknowingly, some skills have emerged over a period of time as being essential skills. And it's not a question of living in denial and saying, hey, I'm good at A, but I'm not good at B, and I'm not good at C, but I'm good at D. When you know that, okay, B and C are essential skills. So it's not about saying that I'm not good at B and C. I got to start improving on B and C because they are necessary for me to evolve as a person in my career, in my life, in general, if you look at it, right? So what could they be, right? Okay, again, there are no definitive answers here, but there are answers that can give us all a little bit of direction on how we could look at it from our own perspectives.
Sure.
So the one skill that really stands out for me is ability to communicate effectively, communication skills, as simple as that. And this is one skill that has stood the test of time, historically as well as today. What makes us the top of the food chain species today as human beings, right? Are we the smartest people on the planet? Are we the smartest species on the planet? No. Gorillas are more intelligent than humans. If you teach a gorilla and a human the same thing, gorilla will pick it up faster. So we're not the most intelligent. Are we the strongest? Of course not. There are many animals who are stronger than us who can beat us any given point in time and on any given day. So we're not the smartest. We're not the most intelligent. We're not the strongest, right? But what is it that makes us the top of the food chain species? Why do we dominate the planet? And why do we control everything? Because of our ability to communicate effectively. Because we can communicate effectively in large groups and therefore drive collaboration in large numbers. You can form organizations, countries, and various kinds of groups and associations that can drive various different narratives and agendas forward. That's what is helping us thrive, and that's what is helping us stay on top of the food chain. That's what is helping us be the dominant species. And that's a very important thing to acknowledge. There are good consequences, there are bad consequences. People can motivate other people in the wrong way by using their communication skills, or people can motivate people in the right way by using their communication skills. So it can be used in either ways. Again, it's really dependent on how you use it. But what's really important is your ability to communicate. Because if you can communicate effectively, think about it. You can alter someone's belief system by effectively communicating something to them. You can drive people to do things by effectively communicating to them. You can really make an impact, whether it is a commercial impact, whether it is an emotional impact, whether it is an impact in a personal relationship or in a professional relationship or in a business relationship. You can drive impact by communicating effectively. You can drive impact as a leader of a country, as a leader of a group, as a leader of a business, or as a team member, or as a professional, or in any dimension you look at. The one thing that helps you create maximum impact is your ability to communicate. So how can you get better at that? And why should you get better at that? You should get better at that because if you're good at something else, but you're not good at communicating, you will not be able to create the impact you need to create. So you have to get better at communication so that your other skill, you may be good. Let's say you're a scientist. You're able to think of great ideas. You're able to think of great solutions to problems. But if you're not able to effectively communicate those solutions, you may not get funding for your research. You may not get attention of the right people. You may not be able to galvanize the ecosystem to help get your idea out in the market, right? That's why you need effective communication. Irrespective of who you are or what you do, you have to be really, really good at communicating. You can keep getting better at it, but that's one skill that's really important. The second skill I think that's important and equally important, probably, if not more important, is your ability to remain open-minded. We all gather biases. We all gather this whole baggage around, we gather baggage as a result of our interactions with the world at large, right? And knowingly or unknowingly, we end up getting biased in many different ways. And that restricts our capabilities, that restricts our potential, that restricts what we can do as an individual, as a professional, right? And how to remain open? How do you continue to be available to what the universe brings to you? How do you remain open-minded is going to decide how quickly and how effectively you evolve, right? Because if you kind of get biased or if you get closed about something, it will impact your ability to progress, right? And that's evident in Darwin's law, right? I mean, it's not something that I am saying. It's something that Darwin has said and something that time has validated, which is the fact that the species that survives in the long run is not the one that is the smartest or the most intelligent or the strongest. It is the one that is the most adaptable to change, right? And that applies to us as human beings, as a species, as individuals, as organizations, as any group of people trying to achieve any objective. You have to be open enough to embrace change. You have to be open enough to be agile. If the environment around you changes, you adapt. If the consequences change, you adapt. If the opportunities change, you adapt. And that adaptation could be in terms of upskilling yourself, could be in terms of changing your mindsets, could be in terms of rearranging your belief systems. It could take any shape and form, which is going to help you become better, which is going to help you become more effective in driving value creation for yourself and for the world that you impact, right? And that's why being open-minded or being available for change is super important for individuals and organizations. And I think even Edward de Bono in one of his books says that long-term planning for organizations is dead. You cannot plan for the long term because you don't know what the next quarter is going to bring to you. Of course, you need to have the vision and you need to have a long-term view of things and all of that. Very, very important. But you can't plan for the long term because there is so much uncertainty. The world is very different where it is right now than where it was when we started having this conversation, right? Because there is just so much happening all around, right? New products are being built, new technologies are being invented, new processes are taking birth, new mindsets are being created, new ideas are being born, and everything is impacting the world as we know it, is impacting our experience knowingly or unknowingly, is impacting the way we interact with each other, it's impacting the way we interact with the world at large. So unless we are open enough to acknowledge this, we won't be able to make the most of it. And we will slowly start becoming redundant if we don't adapt to change. And that's very important. It sounds easy, but it's not. People don't like change. No one likes to change. They want to continue to do what they've been doing because it's working for them. There's something called as the comfort zone. It's okay, I'm okay to not know how to use a computer. I'm okay to not know how to use a mobile. But imagine someone who never, got to using a computer. What are they missing out on? Imagine someone who never got to use a mobile phone. What are they missing out on? You may argue that, hey, their life is less cluttered. They have less information deluge. They have less distractions. Sure, as long as it's a conscious call. If it's a call that you're making out of not wanting to exit your comfort zone, then those benefits are not going to be available to you. But if it's a call that you're making that, hey, I know how to use a phone, but I also know how to limit my usage of the phone, you are in a much better situation that way, because then you are knowingly, consciously taking a decision to do something, and therefore you own the consequence of it, and you are aware of what you are not doing. If I just don't know the mobile phone, I don't know what it's capable of doing for me. And when at some point in time I encounter a certain situation where someone else who knows how to use the mobile phone has an advantage over me in a certain situation, that's when I'm going to feel negatively impacted. That's when I'm going to feel inhibited. And that's when I feel, oh, I should have known how to use the phone. I should have learned how to use the phone. To avoid that kind of a dissonance, you need to learn and adapt. You may choose to control your usage. You may choose to not do certain things out of your own decision. You make that conscious choice, but not because you don't know how to do it. And there is a difference between these two. So we should avoid doing this. And we are very smart as human beings, right? It's something that I don't know how to do. You're going to pass it off saying that I don't want to do it, right? That's a very common syndrome in people.
Sure.
That you don't know how to do it. So you're going to just, take the easy exit and say, yeah, I don't want to do it. But that's the wrong choice to make. It's okay. I mean, we don't know. Nobody knows everything, right? Nobody will ever know enough. It's okay to acknowledge that. And it's okay to learn something. And it's okay to understand how it works. And it's okay to adapt to that change. And then take a conscious decision that, hey, I learned how this is, but I don't like to do it, or I'm not going to do it, or I don't want to do it. Sure, that's a choice that you have. You should have that choice. But not adapting or not, changing with the changing times is really a big deterrent to any evolutionary or growth process. As an individual, as a professional, as a part of the civilization of mankind, it's a deterrent.
I wanted to ask you this, and this is something which I think a lot of audiences and a lot of students will actually relate to. So when a student assesses his or herself, they'll say, there are some things that I like doing. There are some things that I've been told I should do because it can actually get me a good salary, a good remuneration. And there might be something that I'm deeply passionate about. So there might be confusion as to which way they should go. So what I wanted to ask you is there a holistic perspective or a holistic view in which they can look at what they have and kind of bring it on in together?
Absolutely. And that one I'm going to hit for a home run because I have a very well-defined answer for this question, right? And the answer is really about finding your ikigai, right? There is this beautiful book called Ikigai, which talks about being at the intersection of four things. Something that you enjoy doing, something that you get paid for, something that the world needs, and something that you are good at.
Can you repeat that? If it's
something that you enjoy doing,
okay,
something that can pay you,
okay,
something that the world needs, and something that you are good at.
Okay.
So sometimes what you may be good at need not be something that you enjoy doing. You may be good at mathematics, but you don't enjoy solving mathematical problems for whatever reason. But if you have to do it, you'll be great at it. But you may be you may enjoy doing science, but you're not so good at science, but you want to just get better at it because you enjoy science, right? So there could be a difference between the two. So if you are able to be at the intersection of these four things, something you enjoy doing, something that can pay you, something that the world needs, and something that you are good at, then you really are at the right spot. Now, it's easier said than done, of course, because in today's world, people don't end up getting that much clarity. Like, I wouldn't know what the world needs, for example. I may not even know what I'm really good at doing. I may not even know what I really enjoy doing, especially students, right? It takes time for them to discover what's their passion, what's something that gets them going, right? And it may take a little bit of introspection, a little bit of self-inquiry, a little bit of thinking around, a little bit of, speaking to, people around you, your parents, your family, your friends, etc., to understand what is it that you really are good at? What is it that you really enjoy doing? In addition to, of course, you yourself diving deep into your own mind and figuring out what's something that drives you. And sometimes it comes naturally to you, and sometimes you have to find it, right? Either way, whichever way, you have to get to that point where you discover that, because then you can build your world around that. That way, you take away the burden of working for money, okay? You don't have to work because you have to work. You work because you want to work. It's easier said than done again. But how do you get to that point where you are clear enough of what I enjoy doing and what can I be paid for? I enjoy recording podcasts. Can I be paid for recording podcasts? I have to find a way to monetize that if that's something that I enjoy doing. I can start my own YouTube channel and I can start talking about things I'm passionate about, etc. And again, persistence, resilience will play a role. You put out your videos, you got 0 views, you got, 2 views, 3 views. You still have to persist. You have to keep churning out videos. So of course, it's going to take persistence, resilience, etc. But if you are passionate about it, you will stay in and you will keep, doing what you have to do. But how do you find that out? I would say in today's world, it's easier to find it than it ever was. It's easier today to find out what you're good at, what can you build a career out of, and what can you really do that gives you that joy of doing it. It's possible, but you have to find it. And you have to invest time, energy, mindset into doing that. And if you haven't found it yet, it's okay. Then you find a way to enjoy doing what you're already doing. That's another hack into being more effective and more joyful and more fulfilled in whatever you do. But that's the other part of it. So if you can find that, and that's actually pointing to a bigger state of awareness where you really are so centered in your own existence that you enjoy doing whatever you do. Whatever life brings to you in this moment or in the next moment, you're going to bring your full total awareness to it and you're going to enjoy it to the fullest. That's the other way of existing, right? But until you get there, until you get to those levels where you are in control of your skill sets, of your financial abilities, of your career, etc., you got to work towards getting there. And the only way to work towards getting there is being in this process of constantly trying to understand, how do I connect these four things? How do I get better at finding opportunities that fit my requirement, right? And there is no substitute for hard work. You have to grind it out. You have to really put in the hours. You have to really... And the beauty of it is you have to fall in love with that process. Because there is no such thing called as a destination. I think all of us who played the game long enough know that. And it's all about the journey. There is nowhere to go. It's about arriving into this moment with this clarity that life is happening here and now. It's happening here and now. There is no such thing called as the future, and there is no such thing called as the past. The past is gone. And the future is a concept in your mind. You are here and now, and that's where you got to go all in. This is where you have to bring in everything you've got into this moment to make it worthwhile for you, right? And that's something that you have to arrive at that state, you have to go through a lot of grind, right? And for you as a student, and if you're coming out of college, you have to realize that I need to work hard, yes, but I need to find something that I'm so deeply passionate about that even if I have to work hard, it doesn't feel like hard work. Like Sachin Tendulkar loves to play cricket. He goes out there and plays cricket like 18 hours in a day. He said that in a couple of interviews that all I want to do is play cricket. I wake up, go out to the training ground, play cricket. That's it. Most successful footballers in the world today, they play football because that gives them that adrenaline rush. They enjoy doing it. They're not doing it for the trophies or the massive salaries that they get or the life of a footballer or whatever. Some of the really good footballers are in it because they enjoy doing it. They practice 18 hours, they exercise, they wake up at 5 in the morning, they spend 2 hours in the gym, they sweat it out in the sun, run around the ground, do a lot of what we can call hard work. It doesn't seem like hard work to them because they are just having fun, because they are doing what they enjoy doing, and that's very important for people to find. Once you find that out, then every day is a party, every day is a holiday, every day is a vacation, because you are just so engrossed in it that you get to play cricket all day out. You enjoy it. That's it. And you get paid for it at the end of the day. That's amazing, right? Like you get to do what you want to do and you get paid for it. So get to that level. Somehow arrive at that level. Continuously persist so that you can get to that point where work doesn't seem like work. Once you get to that magical point, that's when things start becoming interesting. And it takes a lot of hard work, but don't give up on that end state. Like how can I get to a state where I can make my everyday fun? This whole thinking that I will grind it out for 50 years and then enjoy retirement, that concept doesn't exist. It's an illusion. Or I will grind it out for 5 days and then I'll enjoy my weekends. No, that's not the way the world works in today's age and time. Because today there is no such thing called as work and life, which are separate from each other. We're here on a Saturday having this beautiful conversation. That's also work. And it's also, in some sense, something we enjoy doing. So it's kind of an intersection of work and play, right? So there is no such thing called as, this is work, this is life. It's all intertwined. And as long as you find work that can resonate with life, then you're at that good spot. And work towards getting better at those skills. Work towards getting better at what you enjoy doing. Work towards adding really mad skills in the area that you are passionate about. Then don't go short. Go all in. I want to be the best cricketer in the world. I want to be the best podcaster in the world. I want to be the best teacher in the world. I want to be the best musician in the world. Whatever it is that you pick, or I want to be the best CEO in the world, or I want to be the best startup guy in the world, whatever it is that you pick, once you picked it, go all in. Because only when you go all in do you reach that zenith of realization that, hey, now I'm floating. I really am enjoying what I'm doing. And that should be your end game. Because once you get there, everything else, whether it is financial success, emotional success, spiritual success, everything eventually takes care of itself if you're able to arrive at that level of clarity. And I think that's what people should aspire for. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it does. I mean, and I think you shared so much more content in terms of what students should be looking at. Being in the flow, being in the now is so important. It reminded me of a lovely phrase from the movie Kung Fu Panda, which said, the past is history, the future is a mystery, but what you have now is a gift, and that's why it's called the present.
Beautiful, yes.
And it's a phrase that stuck with me because it's so beautiful.
And it is the essence of everything. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where, since you quoted Kung Fu Panda, let me also quote Kung Fu Panda, where Po, when he tries to find that secret ingredient in that magical scroll.
Absolutely.
And there is nothing in the scroll. Yeah. And then he sees himself in the scroll. And he realizes the secret ingredient is you. You are the secret ingredient. There is no magic other than you yourself. And the moment you realize that you are the secret ingredient, then you, in some sense, broken the matrix, right? You come alive, right?
Right.
And that's when you start wielding, those amazing energies or quote unquote magical powers that help you succeed in whatever it is that you do in your life, right? And even though we say it in a metaphorical, philosophical manner, if I have to logicalize it, it really comes down to finding out what you really enjoy doing. And then because I've also seen people who know they're good at something. Like, I've seen people who are good at painting or they're good at something and they just don't pursue it. They're good at, they say, I like singing but they just don't do it. They just don't pursue it. Because why do they not pursue it? Because they never prioritize it. Because they are always lost. Because they are not in the present. The more you stay in the present, the more you will discover that you have more time than what you think. The more you don't stay in the present, you will always be short of time. Okay. So the more you're in the present, you have better visibility of what's out there. And that gives you the ability to prioritize and pick what is really important versus pick what is not important. Sometimes people spend endless amount of time scrolling on their Instagram reels or whatever. And I keep hearing about this from multiple people, right? And you spend hours doing that, right?
Sure.
And you realize that, hey, can I take those 2 hours back and do something else with it? You want to do that. You say, hey, I want to take those 2 hours back. And sometimes scrolling an Instagram reel could be enlightening, and that's fine as well. Again, nothing against or for anything.
Sure.
But it's about being conscious of the choices that you're making so that you know that this is what I want to do and I'm doing that. You don't end up in any kind of regret that I spent those 2 hours doing something which I regret. I want those 2 hours back. If you have that thought, it means you did not do justice to those 2 hours. You could have done justice to it if you would have set the priorities right. And if you would have been more available to the present to decide what's the right thing to do with your time at a given point in time. And even though, as I said, in an attempt to logicalize it, even though this sounds philosophical, it is extremely logical. Because as human beings, at every point in time, you're just making choices, right? You're choosing to do something. And when you choose to do something, you're also choosing to not do certain other things. So there is an opportunity cost to every decision that you make. And sometimes that opportunity cost is so high that you end up making a wrong decision and you regret that later on. So how do you ensure that you minimize your opportunity cost? And that power comes to you once you're clear about where you're headed in your professional life or in your personal life. And that comes back to what skill sets you are building and how you are pursuing what you enjoy doing and how you're monetizing what you enjoy doing. Because today's age and time, financial freedom is very, very important. You cannot say, if you say that, hey, money is not important. No, money is extremely important. And you only realize that money is not everything only when you have enough of it. Okay. And that's when you realize that it is not everything. So solve for it. It's not to run away from it saying that, hey, it's not about money. It's about, if you're clear enough about that, that's also fine. If you feel that, and again, money has different paradigms, and I want to talk about money a little bit because it's an important part of a career decision for people as well, right? What's a high-paying job versus what's not a high-paying job, etc. So money is a very important variable in career decision-making, in skill set building. But you have to understand what role does money play and how you want to go about solving for money, okay? You can go about solving for money in multiple ways. Plus, money means different things to different people. How much money is enough money for you is very different from what it is for somebody else. And that may have many other variables driving it, right? Like, what are you going to do with that money? Or is it just a mad ambition? Like, there are these billionaires who just keep generating millions and billions of dollars, and they're not sure of what they're going to do with it. They just enjoy the process of making money. That's another trap, by the way, right? You're getting caught in another pattern, which is putting you on a path of making more and more money without really converting that money into happiness, converting that money into fulfillment, converting that money into satisfaction. If you're not able to do that, then you are in another trap, which is not very different from somebody else who is in a trap where they are not able to earn enough money. They're also in a different trap. So these are all different traps. So you need to know how much money is necessary and how are you going to convert money into happiness, satisfaction, and fulfillment at peace. And once you discover that, then you will know what is the right amount of money that you need to earn versus the right amount of skill building that you need to do versus the right amount of investment of your time and energy into different priorities of your life that you need to focus on. And all of that has to be taken into consideration when you make decisions around what field I should go into, what education I should go into. Should I do a post-graduation? Should I take up a special course? Should I take up an online learning course, etc.? Because today there is enough diversity in the kind of learning avenues that you have. But it's really important that you ask the right questions because the answers are all out there. If you don't have the right questions, then the answers are going to feel like an information overload for you. But if you have the right questions, then you're going to be able to find the needle in that haystack. And you're going to be able to figure out that, hey, this is what I want. If you know what you want, it's out there for the taking. The question is, do you know what you want? And I would say you ponder more on that question rather than getting consumed by the diversity of what is out there. You ponder more on figuring out what do you want from life? What do you really want to do? Because the answers are out there. If I'm very sure of what I want to do, I arrive at that clarity, half of the problem is solved. Then you will automatically know what to do because then there is enough and more out there in the ecosystem to help you with it. So focus more on the problem and try to solve the fundamental problem of figuring out what you want to do and what gets you going and what really gives you the joy of being alive, and everything else kind of takes care of itself.
Dhaval, what you shared is truly invaluable, and I think it's all pervasive. It applies to students across different contexts and backgrounds. So I just want to say thank you for making time to be here and talking to us on this subject. It's been really amazing.
Thanks, Amit. It was fun having this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed today's session. I'm feeling kind of charged up, and I hope you are too. To keep getting awesome content like this, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, follow us on Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Our handle is the Zista Podcast. We're going to keep coming back with engaging content that adds value to you. Till we meet next, we'd say, stay curious.